Hi, I'm Reece Jones, and today I'm doing part 3 on my series about beating addiction. Now, I'm not doing it at the cotch today because it's been chucking it down over the last few days, and I know it's going to be really wet and muddy and slippy up there, so I thought I'd leave it and just do it in my room instead. So yeah, I got up to in part 2 about the whole positive intent theory, the positive thought theory. I'd written Chi of Love on each leg, and this was literally the day I woke up after watching the What the Bleep Do We Know DVD. So I've written Chi of Love on each leg, and as I do that, I had to have some breakfast and stuff, and I get a knock on the door from my mate Joby. And like I said, Joby was the worst one out of the lot of us, so he was the one I was worried about the most. So yeah, he knocks for me and he asked me if I wanted to come down Cheshunt to buy some weed with him. Well, I mean, he knew that I wasn't going to buy any weed with him, but he asked me if I just wanted to come down just for the journey, just to keep him company kind of thing. I said, yeah, that's cool. So we get on the bus to go down to the train station. The reason we was trekking all the way to the bus, to the train station, from the train station to Cheshunt, was because at this time of year we was getting a special, a legendary strain of skunk called Mango Bud, which was really potent and really chronic. So that's the reason we was going all the way to Cheshunt for that. So yeah, we was on the bus on the way down to the train station, and I was sitting there and I was thinking, you know, God, I want a book to read. I want to be able to go home tonight and put on another DVD like What the Bleep Do We Know. I just want to lay about just thinking and just exploring my own mind, and all these thoughts were coming into my head. I knew that because I'd taken the drugs out of my life, there was, I think I mentioned this in the first video, but there was now this massive empty void, and I had to fill it. And this is one important thing I will say, actually, when you're trying to beat some sort of addiction. When you take that addiction out of your life, you have to fill it back up with something. And not with another stimulant like booze or coffee or something like that, but fill it up with something positive, something that is good for your personal development, which I think, for me, and for a lot of people, is knowledge. So yeah, very important tip. Very, very important tip. So yeah, I was craving all this knowledge, but the thing is with me, is because I'd gone off the rails for so much over the last few years, my brain was still in a bit of a sludgy mess, and I was thinking, well, where do I start? What book do I buy? Where do I go to buy it? You know, what can I understand, what can I not? How do I work my way up the ladder, kind of thing? So I was feeling pretty lost. I was feeling still very good in myself and stuff, but I was feeling pretty lost. I wasn't knowing where my next step was going to lead to, and who was going to hold my hand while taking that step. Now this is the great bit, because symbolically, as I get off the bus and enter the train station, who's there? My dad. Now this was quite peculiar, because I haven't seen my dad out and about around the town for years. Now I'm not saying that he never leaves his house, but I haven't bumped into him for years. So I start thinking, is this a coincidence? I don't think so. I don't even believe in coincidences anymore. But this is definitely not one. This is, like I said, just really, really symbolic. It was like here was my saviour waiting for me, like waiting for me to come over to him, and he was gonna tell me where this next step was gonna lead me. So over I go, and I basically say in so many words, like, feed me, I want knowledge, feed me with knowledge. So he says, don't worry, I will. He was so surprised that the DVD had affected me as much as it had, and he said, yeah, within the next day I'll bring round some more stuff for you, DVDs, books, etc. So that in itself I just think is brilliant. It's just genius the way life's puzzles are so intricate, that what made my dad, be at the train station that day, and for me to bump into him right there and then, coincidence it was not. Definitely not a coincidence. So anyway, we get on the train, pick up the skunk, come back. Joey smokes a few spliffs and all that kind of stuff, and I go to bed and he goes home. So I go to bed thinking in two minds, because I'm feeling really great about myself and how I'm sorting myself out, but then I'm not seeing it in Joby yet. But like I said, I wasn't being too hopeful. I'd only shown him the DVD 24 hours before, so I wasn't being too hopeful. However, the next day I wake up and, you know, well, first of all I go down and I find all these new DVDs and a few articles my dad's printed off. He's brought me around a book on quantum physics, which is over there somewhere, and that's some pretty heavy duty shit, I must say. Yeah, so I've got all this new knowledge, but this is the great thing. This is the real twist in the story, because then I get a knock on the door. Who is it? Joby, obviously Joby, and he just says, "That's it. I've quit the drugs. That's it. I've had enough." And it was another one of them moments where your jaw hits the floor, you know. I didn't think the transition would come so quickly. I thought it would be a week, 2 weeks, maybe even a month until we fully came round to just wanting to give it up totally. But there he was, standing right in front of me, telling me he did. He wanted to give it all up. Absolutely amazing. And he did. And from that day on, he actually stopped the skunk. But you see, I ain't even told you the half of it yet, because what happens 2 days later? He gets a job interview. Now, this job interview came out of nowhere, it seemed, but no, it wasn't. This job interview gravitated towards him because of these positive thoughts he was putting out, that I want to stop being a druggie. Well, if I want to stop being a druggie, I need to fill that hole, like I've said again. Whereas with him, he might not have wanted to fill it with knowledge, but he wanted to fill it back up with a sociable job, with, you know, good pay, making money so he can buy good things, and, you know, getting some sort of routine, structure, and positive pattern in his life. Because the only pattern he had in his life before that was the pattern of doing drugs day in, day out. So anyway, he gets the job interview. 2 days later, he gets the bloody job. And I find out the bloody job's in Greece as a holiday rep, which totally suits him down to the ground, because it ticks all the boxes he wants, you know. But this was amazing, that within literally 4 or 5 days, he went from not having a job, losing his social life, you know, dossing around each day, not having any money, to moving to a different country, having a great job. He's going to meet loads of new friends. He's off the drugs, he's off the booze, and he turns his life round like that in 5 or 6 days, after believing that he can. This was the thing, he never believed he could turn his life round so quickly. But as soon as he realised what he was harbouring inside here, and the potential of focused thought, and what it can do, and how quickly it can change your life, that was it, it did. As soon as he thought it did, as soon as he thought it could, it did. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. And this is when my thoughts now turned to my mate Tim, who was currently on holiday and who was coming back in a few days. And I thought, this is my next project. I've got to help Tim now. I've helped me, I've helped Joby. Time to help Tim. And I'll leave that for part 4, because this is where it gets really interesting. Because, let's put it this way, I don't want to spoil it, but he was going to be easier to help than I'd ever imagined. And this is a really great part of the story. So tune back for part 4, which will be up within the next few days. Thank you. Catch you later. Bye.